Hi, this is Natasha Lehrer Lewis with Esther's Place, and today I'm going to be showing you what a few different embellishment fibers look like when they're wet felted. We have with us bamboo. This is actually processed bamboo and it's hand dyed. We've got hand dyed neps. These are tiny balls of felt. They add texture to the surface. We have silk hankies. These are actually sheets of silk that you peel apart. We have angelina, which is a synthetic sparkle. I like using hot fix angelina because, as you can see at the sample on the left here, this is actually pressed between parchment paper with a hot iron to make it melt, and this is what it looks like starting out. It comes in lots of fun colors and adds a lot of bling to your projects. And we have some pre-felt scraps. These are not traditional felt from the store, but a special merino pre-felt that's halfway felted. They're little bits left over from projects, and I just cut them up and incorporate them in for texture. So I'm doing a few samples so you can see what they look like when they're felted. So I'm using a base of merino wool that I folded into a square, and I've got my fibers laid out. I put my embellishment on top of it, and then I've added just a thin film of wool on top, and you can see there's just a very, very fine carpet of fiber on top to hold those things in. So these are the neps, this is the angelina, and the angelina that's been pressed and ironed, and then we have some bamboo, and the last one is the silk hanky, which actually doesn't need any fiber over it. It's just the silk. So we're going to be adding a little bit of water and wetting these down. So we want to make sure it gets nice and wet. We can press that in. And if the fiber sticks to your hands, it's too dry. You're going to need to add a little more water. So we're just going to press that in so it's nice and wet. And I'll move along and do my samples, all of them. So we're going to see what each of these embellishments is going to look like once it's all finished felting. I'm using a fun little tool called a ball boss, and you can use a cup of water, just pouring your water over it, but it's a fun little tool and it helps your hands not get so wet. Okay, so we're going to wet these all down, and as you wet them down, I've got some warm soapy water. It's got a little bit of Eucalan soap added to it, and that just helps the fibers to start working together a little bit easier. We've got 2 more samples to go. You'll notice I've got bubble wrap on the bottom. That is small bubble wrap with the bubbles facing up. Also, I've got a few inches worth of distance between each sample so they won't end up sticking together by accident. Okay, last but not least, we've got our bamboo sample over here. And we're going to press that in. I thought this would be a fun idea to show what these embellishment fibers look like in the wet felting, because I incorporate all of them into a lot of my wearable art, into vessels, into all kinds of things. But it's neat to see what they look like individually and how you might end up using them. So this is wetted down, the bamboo, the silk hanky, the pre-felt, the neps, and the angelina. Okay, so we're going to put some bubble wrap on top, and this will seal down to the surface just by pressing it, and then we're going to add a little extra water on top, and that extra water will help our hand to glide as we start with the first stage of felting, and that is just rubbing it. That's going to get these fibers to adhere down, and as long as your hand is gliding, you've got enough soap and water on the surface. If it's not gliding, go ahead and add a little bit more, and you're just going to rub this rub it for about a couple minutes or so. That way it guarantees none of your fibers are going to shift and move on you as you move on to the rolling stage. Okay, so as we go on to the rolling stage, we're going to take and roll this up nice and tight. The tighter that you roll it, the better it'll be. Then we're going to take and work this back and forth, rolling about 20 times forward and back. After 20 times, you're going to take and unroll it, and we're going to roll from another side. So we started on this side here. We're going to roll from this side now, and so on and so forth. So you'll continue on this side and on this one until it's all felted. You just keep repeating that process here.